As a little boy, I still remember it like it was yesterday. I was basically channel surfing, and that is when I came across WWE SmackDown, not called WWE at the time. The first thing I ever saw was Mankind looking for a man named The Rock backstage. I remember saying to myself, that guy must be really slow looking for a rock. Soon after, I saw the man that would soon be not only my favorite wrestler, but my inspiration. He was so charismatic, so entertaining. From then on, I knew wrestling would be a big part of my life. Early on in my team, known now as Just Central Films, around 2003-2004, I began incorporating wrestling into my videos. Starting off with people like Aaron Benham, who is still a part of the team, and who was and still is a huge Undertaker fan. Can you tell? Our first stuff was filmed on his block and backyard, where current member Christian Pagan first appeared. Fast forward a bit to different locations, we've seen others debut via wrestling shows, like current member Damian Jenkins. In 2005, we started up the SFW, Street Fight Wrestling, and did 2 feature-length events. These were recorded in backyards behind buildings. Fun fact, this was the only time period where we had mats and championship belts, which we put paper and tape on to hide the WWE stuff, which is what some feds should do instead of putting nothing on them and making it more obvious they are WWE titles. In 2007, we did the VBW, Video Blog Wars, in my hallway, which ended in 2008. We also did random matches throughout the years, around 2009-2012. Sometime after the VBW, I found out about backyard wrestling feds that mostly wrestles in parks. Aaron Benham actually introduced me to this world as he was participating in a Brooklyn backyard wrestling fed at the time called IKW, Insane Carnage Wrestling. I decided to try it out for myself as I find wrestling, no matter where it's held, fun as hell. I also appeared in the BWA, the Bronx Wrestling Alliance, a fed that took place in Pelham Bay. I soon realized that backyard wrestling wasn't for me. I just did it for fun, and I knew most did it because they want to be wrestlers. Acting is my biggest passion. I love everything about it, including the creativity. I also direct, write, edit, and produce. In 2013, I started up a wrestling department that still exists to this day, the JCWA, Jet Central Wrestling Alliance. Though it looks like any other backyard fed, it's not one. It wasn't created for fun, nor is it trying to be a real wrestling promotion. Its sole purpose is to be a training facility. It tests and/or improves acting skills, dependability, commitment, passion, improv, and overall gets people more comfortable on camera while assuring us via attendance that we can rely on them when the movies and other acting projects come around. Despite the hard floors, we have been doing this stuff for more than 8 years, not a single serious injury. I believe in safety first, no matter what, to make sure people don't get hurt. The wrestling itself helps out when somebody has to do a fight scene in a movie, for example, because acting and wrestling has more in common than you might think. We also had the main cast of our movie Murder Avenue form a team in the JCWA known as the Elite, a dominant force, linking the JCWA and our movies even more. Myself, Damian Jenkins, Christian Pagan, and America Serta was a part of that team. This is my story. However, this documentary is about the stories of those who see backyard wrestling as a lifestyle, who doesn't care where matches take place as long as matches do in fact take place. Those who breathe and live backyard wrestling, while constantly being looked down upon by others. However, it is also about those who don't like backyard wrestling, those who see it as a joke, pointless, and an overall waste of time, mostly because it's not in a wrestling ring. This is the Controversies of Backyard Wrestling, New York.
But as far as Brandon Cox, by the way, my name is James Taylor, but my wrestling name is Havoc.
My current wrestling name is the exiled prodigy XAVIER, formerly known as the BX prodigy XAVIER Chaos.
My name is Jonathan Rojas.
My name is Brian Yakov Sosa.
I'm Joseph Figueroa. Wrestling name, backyard wrestling name, Joe Viper.
My name is Jalen Taylor.
My wrestling name is Hazel Royalty Zombie. I go by Hazel for short.
Me and my cousins, Sean, Colin, and Dylan O'Reilly, we used to mimic it all the time, whether it was in the backyard, the basement. So in a weird way, I've been doing this since I was like 4 or 5 years old, since we were all addicted to wrestling. Then when I was about 14, 15, I met Dom the Don, And Chris Colazzo, Chris Vicious, actually introduced me to him. That's how I learned about the BWA. Even though we were trying to start something called the BWF before that, we had it on a notebook and everything, the Bronx Wrestling Federation. And we did a few shows, but then we wound up noticing that that was held on Elder Avenue. We didn't know that existed, so that wound up getting scrapped.
I started out just a little bit with JRW as far as I can remember, and did like, it wasn't really anything official. It wasn't like on their shows or anything, but I like did a little bit of wrestling there and got a feel of how it is to do backyard wrestling. And after, whether you're practicing it or doing an actual show, the pain is still the same. It'll hurt you afterwards, but you'll still feel accomplished.
Do you know Vinny the Voice? He called me Dollface, and I decided to use that as my gimmick name. And when he died, I decided to use that as a way to honor him, carry on his legacy. And I've always liked that name to begin with. Like, a lot of people were calling me that, so I figured, okay, I'll stick with that. And I think it was the makeup that made him call me that. I wear this makeup in and out of the ring, as in I don't break character, looks and personality.
I used to go by a wrestling name called the OSS, which stands for Old School Striker. That name was given to me by my uncle back in the days, back around 2002, around there.
Dollface doesn't break character in or out of the ring, which includes whether she's a manager, referee, or wrestler. And right now she's a referee.
I had the best experience ever in backyard wrestling. For example, I started off my first year, I was signed to the set called WWX. It stands for World Wrestling Extreme. And, I mean, I just thought it was perfect because that's my character. I was a hardcore high flyer type guy, you know? I was trained by this guy named Leo and some other guy named DC, and they both were, like, at the top. So it's like, for me to be trained by them, it just made me feel even better because I'm like, one day I might be one of them. I was a little afraid, but I got over it.
I wrestled pretty much everywhere in New York City. My whole career, people said I sucked. But if you listen to everything people tell you, then you ain't gonna go nowhere in life. I could have gave up and not wrestled no more, but I still do it. And I'm trying to be in a ring.
Well, I grew up in a non-wrestling family. My whole family, except maybe my younger brother, really doesn't approve of this. But I don't give a shit. It was my ex that got me into it. I got into WWE really late, but better late than never, right?
Everyone that was on my side really didn't help me the way I thought they would. So I left WWX for a while because, you know, I felt like things were just unfair there. I left WWX for a while and I went into this fed called VCW. I thought it would be better. It was just worse. I won no titles there. There was only the favoritism there. Only certain people became champions. Certain people were just like pushed to the side, just thrown away. And it's not like I was whack or anything. I had talent. You know, I came into the Fed before I was even being trained. I knew what to do, but I played the role as, all right, I don't know what I'm doing, so I'm gonna let them teach me something so they don't know, so I can surprise them when things happen. So I just stopped showing up for a while, and then I got a text from my friend XAVIER Chaos telling me, he was saying how I should hit up this guy named John because he was bringing back a fed called JRW, and JRW was already a big fed. It was in Manhattan, then it came back to the Bronx. I thought about it first. I was scared because I heard about, you know, JRW. They originally were 2KW guys, and 2KW guys, they were very, like, stiff. I heard that they were stiff, you know, and I didn't like the stiffness. Like, if you stiff me, I'm going to stiff you back. But I heard a lot of, like stories about people getting their teeth knocked out and all that. And then it's in the back of my head, it's like my mother, she told me, oh, I don't want you wrestling. I don't want you doing none of that. So I did. I didn't listen to her. And then the next year, I broke my arm. Like, I broke my clavicle.
So, we're about to head to a TCW show, Transcendent Championship Wrestling. My boy Aaron Banam, which is known in the backyard community as Hellfire, he pretty much, you know, wrestles over there. They wrestle like Coney Island. One thing I want to talk about, though, that's not really related to TCW, but kind of more of a general subject, is egos in backyard wrestling. Nobody really talked about this yet, so I feel I should be the first. One reason that I never really kind of done much backyard wrestling is because the egos in certain niggas is ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? Like, at the end of the day, there's no reason why you should belittle people because you won a title somewhere else or you've won more championships than them. Mind you, that's all predetermined, right? That depends on what the owner wants to give you. You know, and then if you're a skilled competitor and that's the reason why you're confident, like, still keep it on the confident area. You know, nobody cares to hear any of you guys brag about how you're so much better than everybody else, because at the end of the day, you're all in the same predicament. You're all in the same area in life. You're all wrestling in a park, and the reason you are is because I assume a lot of you guys want to, like, legitimately be wrestlers. So you guys feel, or at least some of you guys feel, like it's a stepping stone, you know, and it's like the first step to bigger and better things in your wrestling careers. And I have no problem with that. I'm one of the best choices for this documentary because I don't love nor hate backyard wrestling. You know, I'm very indifferent to it, and it's okay to me. You know, I don't go, oh, you're wrestling in a park, you're a loser. No, but at the same time, I'm not like excited to wrestle in a park either, because to me, it's not that serious. You know what I'm saying? If you see someone not doing as well as you think they should, you know, help them out a little bit, but, you know, don't act like this is boot camp, because again, it's not that serious. You're wrestling in a park. People shouldn't have to go somewhere and do something where they're already putting their body on the line. You know what I'm saying? They're already risking injury, they're already risking getting hurt, and then to have someone else belittle them because they're not up to their standards. You know, oh, you suck, and I'm better than you, and I should be in this match, and blah, blah, blah. I mean, no matter what kind of team you're running, I for one run a film team, no matter what kind of team you're running, everybody has to work together at the end of the day. Doesn't matter if you're wrestling at a park, you're wrestling in a ring, it doesn't matter if you're making films, it doesn't matter if you're making whatever the case may be. You know what I'm saying? Your focus in whatever fed that you are is make sure that everybody is putting in, everybody is working together, everybody is doing what they gotta do, and everybody is helping each other, because at the end of the day, that's what it all comes down to. Everybody's trying to get better, you know, that's why they go to these shows. I'm pretty sure most of you feds, if somebody breaks an arm or a leg, like, you know, there's not much you guys can do, so therefore, don't treat it like it's like legitimate, real pro wrestling. Don't treat it like, you know, you're in the independents, you know what I'm saying, when it actually does matter. You know what I'm saying? You're not yet. So there is room for error. Being, you know, somewhat easy to work with, you know what I'm saying, easy to tolerate, someone that people will want to wrestle with and work with and you know, do this kind of stuff with. Because if you're planning on being a pro wrestler, you can't go through life being a jackass. Because then people are going to be like, I don't want to work with that guy because he's just bragging about how, oh, he does flips, so he's better than everybody else. He won A, B, and C in Fed A, B, and C, you know, so he's automatically better. No.
I don't really have no feeling towards good or bad towards backyard wrestling, to be honest. You know, I mean, it was a thing that I wanted to do since I was little, and when it came to like wrestling, you know, after watching Raw and all that stuff and watching their favorite stars do wrestling, then it makes you want to wrestle.
If you like look all over YouTube and the internet, and even in the past, there was a documentary on Netflix about backyard wrestling. There was a lot of kids doing stupid things, like over the top, like ECW in their backyard, like putting themselves through glass and barbed wire and 2x4s and spikes and fire. Kids were crazy. They'd cut themselves up, they'd do anything for it. We were more kind of trying to mimic the WWE, WCW style. Well, we did do hardcore things, but I never felt like we went over the top. We wailed on each other with street signs, we wailed on each other with chairs. Whenever we could get our hands on wood, would be used as a table. I feel like everybody starts somewhere. I don't look down on it. Punk did it. The Hardy Boys did it. Whether they did it in their makeshift rings, trampolines, or whatever. And those guys got somewhere. Eddie Guerrero, if you watch his documentary, he used to, like, kind of do it with his nieces, nephews, brothers. I just think that taking it to sometimes a little bit too extreme with the fire and the barbed wire and the thumbtacks. The kids don't know what they're doing. Like teenagers, they don't really get it, and they think they're going to get somewhere doing that. They're not. And no, I can't really say that too much, because we thought we were probably going to get somewhere at a certain point, and some of us didn't, and some of us did. Some of us kept going to training and perfecting it, and some of us didn't have the money or the time to go all the time.
There has been a few exceptions within the backyard wrestlers who have actually made it. For example, Mick Foley was a backyard wrestler when he was young, and he ended up being one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. Actually, to me and many people, considered the father of hardcore. You know, when you're talking about people like Jeff Hardy, Matt Hardy, Shannon Moore, you're talking about guys like Hurricane Helm, you're talking about guys like these. When these guys backyard, this thing was just starting, you know, so there wasn't much of this really going around. Here, we live in New York City, and in New York City, we have more than 40 feds.
While I was doing it back in the early 2000s, I used to go with my buddies to the park. Okay, that was our only place that we can do this. You know, because we considered backyard anything that didn't revolve a ring. We couldn't afford to go to a ring. We couldn't go to a school or any of the stuff. What we had was the park. The park, we chose the park because it has those paddings, and that was the best thing that resembled us for safety and kind of resembled the platform of the ring. It was a good feeling to do something about it, but also at the same time, there was that controversial feeling when you get there and then there's people there in the park with their families and friends who don't like wrestling or don't know what it is or don't watch it or anything of the sort. They have no knowledge of it. We would get there probably in the afternoon. Most likely it would be like sometime around after school or whatnot. And we would get there, and you know, we're setting up, and people are looking at us because we're not there to play, go on the swings or anything. We're dressed a little different, and people are just like, all right, now let's get our kids away. You know, we don't want that. You know, so we'll start doing our thing, and the cool feeling about it was that once you start it, you know, you're into it and you're doing it. You get people, oh, what are they doing over there? What's going on? And they start watching it. But then what's intriguing is that the kids will start coming closer. Okay? But the problem with that was that while you're doing it, little kids wanted to start doing it at the same time that you're doing it. And it made a problem with the parents there in the park. And so to me, that made it feel like, should we be doing this? It's, you know, and it was fun to do it because we were younger. And I was younger. It was fun to do it. But as I'm getting older now, and I'm doing this in the park, I'm not getting paid for this. I'm doing this for fun, you know, and I'm doing this on the weekend. And by the way, my clothes were getting dirty. I would get dirty. It's a park. You would get dirty. So people look at you like you're crazy. You come in, you clean, you start getting dirty, and you start doing this in front of their kids. Their kids start doing it, and it made me argue with myself whether I want to keep doing this or not, because the way I looked at it, and I don't want to offend anybody, is because the people who were doing this backyard stuff or in the parks or anything like that, it was people who you would a normal typical person in society would consider the nerds of the schools. Those are the guys that you'd be like, oh, it's the dweebs coming in to play wrestling or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And it was like living a double life. You're like, either you consider that or this or that, and you know, that's what society kind of does to you. It kind of labels you on those kind of things, and you don't want to go through that. So to me, that was a big problem for me, and that was one of the reasons I kind of faded off from doing the backyard stuff.
I don't think it should be anything taken seriously. Like, to me, backyard wrestling is a hobby at best, but have you ever actually, like, hung out with backyard wrestlers? They take it so seriously. It's like, dude, chill the fuck out, man. It's really not that serious.
I feel like it's for those that are passionate about wrestling. Other than that, like, if you're trying to make it somewhere, like somewhere higher, you know, like indies or WWE even, it's not like, you're not going to stay backyard wrestling. You're not going to get noticed from backyard wrestling. You're going to have to, like, change eventually, you know, move up. But as a starting ground for, like, someone who wants to wrestle, I think they could start backyard wrestling. It's not that bad.
You know, I could say about this. When a lot of people want to begin wrestling, usually everyone starts from backyard wrestling and then just goes all the way to the ring. But everything goes with a lot of training, a lot of ambition that you want to have to actually be a part of this wrestling federation that you're joining in.
I have a lot of tremendous respect for a lot of these guys because they put their heart on the line, they put their health on the line, they take time. A lot of these guys, they work their regular minimum wage jobs, and they're doing this because these guys, they don't just want to wrestle in parks. These guys want to go to the big leagues. These guys want to be up there. But honestly, for these guys to really make it, they really need to pay, and a lot of these guys don't have the money for the training with a real professional.
I feel like there's not enough character development. They don't care as much for their character or promos, and you could see it. But when they wrestle, you know, they wrestle their asses off.
Because if you land on a DDT, you land on a side Russian leg sweep, you give a figure four the wrong way, you break a ligament, you break a bone, you break a muscle.
If you're not into being hurt, then it's just not for you. Especially when you're not wrestling with people that are trained and actually have experience with that, you know. Like, a lot of feds I've been to, you know, it just wasn't as great. They go as planned. But, I mean, we still made the best out of it because we all were friends at the end. So, it's like, whether you hurt me or not, you know, we still were friends at the end. It's fun for me because it's something I like. You know, something I look into. I want to be a wrestler one day when I grow up.
I know it's illegal, and I respect that. But I know that there should be ways around it because so many people like it so much. I think it's okay for minors to wrestle as long as they wrestle each other, like minor versus minor, and the same gender. Kind of like how weed is illegal, but it's harmless. I'm pretty sure if we protest enough, we can get the authorities to change their minds.
At first, it was fun. It was fun to do. And then it started actually becoming like TV, except we don't get paid, and everybody's egos wasn't in check, and it just sucked. Like, your talent didn't really matter no more. You could be the best wrestler in that park or wherever you wrestled at, and some nigga that's eyes will touch a belt before you, or you would never touch a belt in that fed.
Backyard wrestling is something that you do with your friends when you're really drunk. Not when you're, like, actually trying to become, like, a professional wrestler. Which is the difference between backyard wrestling and independent wrestling.
I don't knock it at all because to me, backyard wrestling is an art form. It really is. For the guys, I got a lot of respect for you, but really think about what you're getting into and look at your promotion before you seriously put your life on the line. I don't always agree with some of the promotions. There are some promotions out there that are really good, that really do care about their talent, you know. But at the same time, you have some, I won't throw names out, but there are some that take advantage of some of these guys. Some of them tell them what to do. They don't allow them to have their own thing. They, you know, it's literally like they're trying to be the mama and papa to these guys. There's no contract. There's no agreement. There's no lawyers. And a lot of these feds, they don't even have a first aid kit. So these guys get injured, the ambulance shows up, if even they call that. Because most of the time, they tell these guys, no, you're good, don't worry. The guy goes home. I've heard of so much problems in which I've heard of broken limbs, guys that will never wrestle again. I've heard guys that are literally completely disabled. Mind you, I'm not talking about 40 and 50 and 60-year-old guys. I'm literally talking about guys who are in their early 20s. For a wrestling fed that doesn't care about you, that you're not going to be paid for, that your audience is minimal, it's not aired on TV, and when you're not structured correctly, what ends up happening is you're wasting everybody's time and your time.
Hi people, we're at the TCW spot by Coney Island, and I'm here with Aaron Banam, aka Housefire. And, you know, I guess tell the viewers a little bit about TCW. For those of you that don't know, TCW pretty much does park and ring shows, basically. So, you know, the whole thing where it's like, you know, if you're wrestling in a ring and you can't wrestle in a park, these guys do both. So, it is there. So, I mean, what is your experiences, not only in this fed, but just like, you know, wrestling in, you know, different parks and different places in general?
I originally started doing the actual backyarding, like literally into full effect in 2008 when I met a friend of mine, Joseph Miranda's, aka Genocide. a good friend and a good trainer of mine, he actually hit me up one time asking me to come through during my downtime. So I came through, see how IKW was, and yet again, it was another spot here in Brooklyn. And I spent the next 2008 to 2012 of that year wrestling in IKW. And I never thought about doing wrestling again since that time. But then I get a message one time from a good friend of mine now, Abraham, tells me that he runs a federation called TCW. To me, what I always prefer in any organization I work with is the team effort, the teamwork. And I see how these guys had multiple cameras, multiple backup lightings. These guys were always working together as a unit to keep the show rolling. And that's what I was looking for. And I told Abraham, give me like a month or two to think about it. And May of last year, 2014, I ended up signing up with the TCW, and now I'm a part of the roster. And
the rest is history, right?
Yeah.
But man, like, how is it for you being in, like, you know, the fact that we've been wrestling since we were like young and didn't even really know what we were doing?
Well, the funny thing is originally in the beginning, you started like in wrestling way before me.
Yeah.
Because you started like in 1999 of watching it, and I sadly missed all the good stuff because around the year of 2002 is when I started like watching it constantly. And ever since then, I had to do a lot of research from 1990 all the way up to now and just start learning like everything from the basics, because I realized, damn, this is something I actually want to do. But some people got to take into consideration, like, you know, backyard, yeah. Is it dangerous? Absolutely. I would be a liar if I said no. There are times, you know, some people will get hurt here and there, but it all depends on how you set your wrestling skills and how much you study and train. Most people, especially in the professional leagues, will look down at it and say it's not worth doing, it's a waste of time, they have no respect for it. Some people have money to invest and go to the schools to do these things, and some people don't. A lot of people do tend to look down on backyard a lot, so because they feel they're in the ring, they're that great. I mean, you know, okay, you could be in the ring, you could be great, but instead of being like your superior, sometimes it's be good to help people and actually support them, or at least give them a chance to at least show that what a person could do in the ring.
You guys, and by the way, a lot of people that did interviews for this documentary has wrestled in a ring before. Some multiple times, some once or twice, or whatever the case may be. So it's not like, you know, well, you know, if you're wrestling in a park, that just means you're not wrestling in a ring. Some people, you know, they prefer to just wrestle wherever the hell they feel like wrestling.
Throughout the years working together, especially being adversaries throughout most of the stuff we've done.
That's another thing. No matter what, even if it's outside of Jet Central Films, doesn't matter. Even if it's in a ring, it doesn't matter. For some reason, my character and Aaron's character can never get along. He's, I guess you could say, like the second leader, you know what I'm saying, and the second owner of all things wrestling that we do. In fact, he's taken over the JCWA and he'll be running it from now on.
You know, in Jet Central, I usually try to help build up like the confidence and the endurance for people when it comes to doing their own stunts, as far as falling, getting hurled into a gate or to a wall. You know, I use the wrestling knowledge for that, and it helps build up everybody's, you know, idea of how to perform and be better, you know, charismatic performers. So we usually do things here for the kids, for the families to come watch and like, and, you know, just enjoy the show and have a good time with it. Some people don't even have cable to watch any type of wrestling at all. So, you know what, it's like, all right, we're doing stuff outside and whatnot. We're not charging anybody anything. We're doing this show for you guys. If you guys love it, they come constantly, and we've had fans all the time coming every day of, as far as TCW, every Sundays. When IKW was around, we used to have the same fans every Saturdays. They come with their parents, they come with their friends, and even times here and there where they take pictures with the belts, with the roster. They have a good time, and you know, that means a lot to me, because at least, you know, I know hands down at their age, you know, even I'm pretty sure when we were growing up watching wrestling, we never really went to an actual live like event. So it brings out the more passion for me to come out and do what I want to do, because it gives, you know, kids something to like, something to watch, to have a good time with. So that's my aspect for wrestling. You know, it's something I'll never get tired of. The only day I probably will get tired is if I actually catch a serious injury, which that won't be anytime soon.
Well, like, what is backyard wrestling really is anybody that really can't afford a wrestling school at the moment, you just start up over here. That's what TCW's always been about. That's always been my idea, my dream for it. It's we literally do everything by the book, and if you can't, we teach you. So basically, it's basically free wrestling school. So when you go to wrestling school, you're actually ahead of the competition, ahead of everybody else. From there, we well, at least with TCW. So
yeah, and like it's not just like neighborhood kids or anything like that. Like we come from all over. It was always like that. At first, it was people nearby, but I was never nearby. I learned about it through a friend. Like like he said, people who can't afford the wrestling school coming together, doing what we love to do.
And honestly, I feel like we offer more than that. We you get to actually build a character based off of your personality. At least with me.
Yeah, I loved it. Like I'm the gimmick I am and everything. I thank TCW for that. If it wasn't for everything I was able to put into that and all that I learned from everybody else doing their thing too, you get so much. Like, you get so much out of it.
It's an addicting hobby, and it's really hard to quit. Honestly, you know, it's like its own drug. It's an outlet. It's recreational. It really helps you out in the sense of if you really want to do this as a career, especially in TCW, like where we are. You get to build up like a character. You get to work on your own mic skills. They don't teach you that in wrestling school.
Exactly.
You learn the fundamentals. You learn the fundamentals
it's
here.
It's a lot more comfortable here too, in my opinion.
It's friendly.
Exactly. It's a good environment.
It's safe. You can leave your cell phone out and no one will touch it.
We're also we've developed like a family.
People got to work towards something. So we build up just like Monday Night Raw, Friday Night SmackDown, anything you want to see. All right, build up toward an event, and that would take place in the ring.
Exactly.
And the best of the best would work there, and the ones that aren't that good strive to be the best. Guys strive to work with the best.
Guys used to throw in their hard-earned money just so we could chip in once a month. People work sometimes $500 to rent out this ring just to do what we love. We're not getting anything in return. It's what we love to do.
It's imagination and passion. That's what it is. And that's, you break it down to its essence, that's what it is. And that's what drives everybody to do their thing.
I never heard it put better. Like, yeah, that's really it.
And I just want to put this in there. I think TCW, honestly, and people don't give us the credit that we deserve. We started the whole ring revolution. We did it for 2 years straight before anybody else decided to get a ring.
We were lucky enough to get the connection. We had someone willing to take in a bunch of backyarders that in their eyes didn't know their ass from their elbow, but realized we actually did know our stuff and gave us a chance.
We've had indies steal our spots, our matches, and our characters.
We've hooked on.
That's the truth. That's God honest.
Yeah, the place we used to use, we gave them the idea to let other backyards come in for them to make money.
They stole match types and concepts from us.
We started that. They stole matches from us, concepts. We have indies stealing ideas from us.
That's just us, yeah. We're just a bunch of stupid kids, right? At the end of the day.
Yeah, right. At the end of the day, $5 wrestlers they called us once. That's another thing. A lot of crap from backyard wrestling.
But if you just focus,
so much crap.
You cut the crap out and just focus,
and you can go light years, you can go miles with the confidence and the willing to go.
It's a lot more than just swings and fighting all year round. There's a lot more to it, and I invite anybody, like if they ever see this, just come on down, get me on Facebook, Abraham Mahmoud. Long story short, TCW backyard wrestling is a lifestyle, at least here. I don't know everybody. I'm not talking about places that have garden hoses for ropes, and I'm not talking about that. Trampoline.
We treated it. This
I'm talking
is the
about
way
us
of life.
specifically.
It's crazy.
So it's a lifestyle, and it evolves, and it helps you if you want to be a wrestler.
Especially if you do it in a public place, you know, you get people watching you, and it's an adrenaline rush, and it's good. And I always loved that feeling. That feeling's good. You know, I can personally say, I mean, I don't want to brag or anything, but I did have like one standing ovation, which felt good. I mean, it wasn't a lot of people, probably like 5, 6 people, but to me it was a standing ovation.
This is something that I truly respect because a lot of good talent has come out of it. And I have seen wonderful talent in these backyard feds. I've seen better talent sometimes in these feds than I've seen in the professionals. Okay, I've seen better shows sometimes with these guys than the professionals.
If you actually want to become a wrestler, go train for somebody. Go train for like an independent company. Don't train just to become a backyard wrestling company, because the hell is that going to do for you? You're not going to go to WWE and say, oh, they're going to go, oh, what's your background? Oh, I did a lot of backyard wrestling. They're going to look at you like you got like 10 heads. Like, what? The fuck? Okay, get out.
You want to get yourself up there, like go to rings, do independent shows, wrestle with like guys that are like known on the internet nowadays that we've watched in like any other indie shows.
No matter where you go, there's always going to be that one person, no. You know, don't do this. it's not normal. So they want to be against it. You know, the moment you start doing that, they'll even try to confront you. Hey, can you guys do this over there, or can you stay away from the kids, or can you find another place? This is a place for the kids. Or try to get the cops involved, which I had a few I had a few things with that as well.
You know, people that are in the ring, you know, belittle those that do backyard wrestling. You know, you have to start somewhere, whether it be in an actual school or in backyard wrestling. And most of the guys that I know did backyard wrestling.
You know, like how professional wrestlers hate it. You know, oh, you're shitting on the business. Like, why do you care? If you wrestle in the ring and you're a wrestler, do you? Like, focus on wrestling. Well, don't pay attention to the backyarders. You're just going to feed their ego.
I mean, the people that hate on it usually are like adults and stuff like that. They feel like, oh, it's stupid in a way it is. But I mean, like, come on, we all young at that point. Like, things happen.
I don't know why you'd be against it, because it's not really, again, it's not that serious. Why hate it? It's just people do what they want to do. Just let them do it.
You can't really not like it if you don't understand what it's about. Like, you not in that park busting your ass, you not getting hurt, and you can't say it's fake, because that shit hurts OD. Like, everything about backyard wrestling hurts.
I'm not the type of person to judge people, and to be honest, I don't like to judge people. If you don't like it, you don't like it. If you do like it, hell, welcome to the family, be a part of it.
I wouldn't tell anybody, go do it, but I'm not going to say don't do it. If you're having fun, man, you're having fun. At least these kids, you know, at least the kids who do it, or at least when we were doing it, we were doing that, opposed to what other kids could have been doing out there. You know, doing drugs, or selling drugs, or smoking and drinking in the streets. Yeah, what we were doing was dangerous, but at the same token, so is football, so is basketball. Baseball can be dangerous. Hockey's dangerous. A lot of people, they just bash on things they don't understand. Or they're, you know, the internet fans. Oh, backyard wrestling. They hate it because they only know pro wrestling, and they have this thought in their head, if you do it, you're not going to get anywhere.
Also, if you actually consider yourself an athlete because you do backyard wrestling, you're a bit of an imbecile, because you're not an athlete. You're just a guy who wrestles in a park for fun. Even though you think it's actually going to get you somewhere, it's not.
And when you don't have originality, who is going to really hire you? No one's going to really want another, you know, wannabe. It doesn't work like that. You have to find your own gimmick. Now, I'm not saying you can't take bits and pieces from people that you do like. Whatever it is that you do, you have to add your own flavor. That's what I'm saying. And you got to really think about the people that you're working with, and are these guys going to really back me up in the long run? And sadly to say, guys, you have to come to the realization, if I've been doing this for 10 years and nothing has progressed, maybe it's about time I consider going to look at my other options.
Like, some of them, they really think that they're like actual wrestlers, when really all they do is wrestle in a park, and maybe once in a while in a rent-a-ring, as we call it.
Just because you're wrestling in a ring does not mean that you're not a backyard wrestling, because the truth is, you don't pay your employees. You don't have the health insurance and the dental insurance for these guys. You don't have compensation. Guess what? You're not a real wrestling company. You are just a minor little fed, and there's hundreds of thousands of feds all over the place.
I'm not going to name drop to be the bigger man, but there's so many people I know in the BWA who are ashamed that they were in it. Or in our little BWF thing, or IKW, I can name so many. They're obviously ashamed of it. They've told me. I'm not ashamed of it. The people who are against it, I guess they just feel embarrassed. I mean, at the end of the day, none of us really knew what we were doing too much, but we tried to make it look well, you know, and we used to draw people in Pelham Bay Park off the bleachers from the football games, and they used to come and they used to watch us. So God knows Aunt Sally left her nephew Chris his football game to go watch a couple of teenagers battle on each other with street signs for a styrofoam belt, because they thought it looked cool from across the park. There were times where people would bring their friends and families, and it would look like a legitimate show. Like, that's what we were trying to do. We drew a lot of people in the park sometimes, or in the backyard of Dom when he held it. So, for the people who are against it, kind of get over yourselves, because we drew attention. we drew a very big Facebook fan base, and I go to the BWF wrestling ring training whenever I get a chance to.
The BWF, we stand here for the youth. Those kids out there that are doing drugs and gangs, get out of it. Get out of the streets. Come to the BWF. We'll train you. We'll properly introduce you to the world of professional wrestling. You know, backyard wrestling. I mean, it's good and done, but if you get hurt, there's no medical, there's no health insurance. You know, you gotta think about that. You have a good future ahead of you. You know, so if you come to the BWF or any other independent company that has a proper instructor like International right here training you, you'll get a better part of it. You'll get a better future. Backyard wrestling is I'm not gonna knock it down. There's a lot of guys out there doing it. I respect it. But like I said, you want a future. If you're into this business, anybody that's into the pro wrestling business wants a future. You don't want to fight for a year and a half, get hurt, and then have to just hang it up without making a buck. I mean, come on. This is a profession. You have to be properly trained just like any other profession. A doctor, an engineering, a carpenter. You all get training. Just start learning on the fly. You want to be good at this? You come to independent companies, BWF, Bronx Wrestling Federation. You know, there's a bunch of others out there that are willing to teach you, and so you can make a better future.
Lo más importante es que nosotros le damos las oportunidades a los jóvenes que tienen la inquietud de un futuro ser luchadores, que lo hacen en los parques, como está mencionando él, oye, es importante que vayan a una compañía formalizada, una compañía que esté clara, como BWF, así tienen la oportunidad de hacerse buenos luchadores profesionales. BWF le abre la puerta a todos esos jóvenes que hacen esa lucha en los parques. Tenemos una compañía, así le enseñamos lo que es la lucha libre.
BWF, brother, we're here for you.
I only been here for a year. BWF stands for me as a Bronx Federation Wrestling Company. So it's like you watch WWF, WWE, right now it's called. This is the Bronx version. So get in tune in case you're in one of the seats. You're gonna get in tune of straight up wrestling and show, you know? You're gonna get entertained, you know, like WWE. How I feel about backyard wrestling, I did it when I was young. To me, that's childish and real young-minded. You're gonna hurt yourself. Everybody will do it right in the ring. You wanna become a real superstar. Everybody is able to be a superstar. You just gotta put it in the ring now, outside the streets, on the park, glass there, kids play there, so you blocking them playtime, flipping the rope, flipping the swings, just to make a 20 ring of gates, you know, don't make sense. I'm here in the Bronx, I live in the Bronx, and I'm willing to go to the next step.
Creo que la BWF ha llegado aquí al Bronx, trayendo una nueva imagen para toda la juventud que nos está siguiendo y que está viendo BWF. Bueno, ya tengo alrededor de 12 años, empecé desde pequeño, empecé desde que tenía 12 años. Mi papá, una leyenda, el Ángel Blanco, he tenido siempre que estar a la imagen del padre, siguiendo lo que hace el padre, lo seguimos en el hijo. La juventud de ahora está haciendo muchas luchas ilícitas en los parques. Lo que yo no entiendo es que esto es un juego. Cada cosa que ellos hacen en el parque, haciendo lucha, pensando que están en un ring, no son profesionales. Por favor, vayan a una escuela, vayan a un ring, súbanse a un ring, aprendan, porque hay mucho peligro en hacer caídas, y más en un parque donde tú no tienes seguridad hacia nada. Te puede partir un pie, te puede partir la cabeza, te puede fracturar tu cuello. Esto es una cosa que requiere mucha experiencia y para no se pierde. Es un deporte sano, pero se requiere tiempo y paciencia.
Me and JT Graves didn't get along at a certain point, and it was real. The video isn't on YouTube, but there was a legitimate fist fight because of differences. It was unprofessional on my part, unprofessional on his part.
A lot of people don't consider wrestling a sport or anything. You know, it's to them it's just a couple of guys just hitting each other over the head with chairs and whatnot. And I know they still do it because they watch these big wrestling companies perform their stuff, and you know, these corporate companies, and that's what they want to do, you know, because especially here in the 5 boroughs of New York City.
I know I was anyway, and I know Dom and Graves and other people were getting locally noticed. Like, I went to Lehman High School, not too far from where we used to do the shows, Pelham Bay Park, and there'd be kids coming up to me when I get out of my classes or when I was in the hallway or coming out of play rehearsal, and they'd be like, hey man, like, I saw your match on YouTube the other day, or hey, I was jogging the other day, I don't know if you noticed me, and I stopped and I was watching the show. Great stuff. We weren't noticed. We were taken seriously, and if people thought, or going to watch this and say we weren't taken seriously, Empire Pro Wrestling, who had a ring, when we didn't, when we had trash cans and caution tape to make a ring, came to our show one day and pulled, almost the whole roster was there at the time, and BWA had a good big roster. We brought in people from IKW, from Brooklyn, and other small feds around. We had, at a time, at least 25, maybe 30. He said, guys, what you're doing out here is good. We just think it'd be better if it was in a ring. They told us the location. They said, we'd love for you guys to come here. We'd love to work with you guys and train you a little bit more so you can be on our show. It wasn't a pro organization, but it was an organization that was getting started with a ring. It goes to show that if you're just really trying hard to entertain and you love wrestling and you actually have a passion for it, if you're doing the backyard wrestling or wrestling in a park, and if you look that good, maybe somebody will catch your eye, maybe they'll take you seriously. I tore up my ankle pretty bad on something as stupid as getting Samoan dropped on my back and my ankle landing first. I couldn't walk for about a week. I've been dropped on my head by a bad attitude adjustment. I had neck pains all week, couldn't turn. Thank God nothing broke. I've got my head smashed into a concrete wall completely by accident because I got clotheslined from the back. I didn't know it was coming. Head first right into the bottom concrete wall in Pelham Bay Park. Had a very, very minor concussion. You know, just be safe. Try not to do something that's way too unnecessary just to entertain yourself and your friends, even if there are people there.
Work on your promos. You know who I'm talking to. I'm talking to you. I'm serious. Promos are important.
So the guys who are coming in, just starting, and to the guys who are, that I know personally, you know, keep up the good work. You guys do what you gotta do. I see you guys are trying to make a big future for yourselves. I want to get up there with you guys as of right now.
And keep doing your thing. Don't let no one stop you from what you really want to do. If you stop now because somebody said, hey, that's fake, then you know what? That's not right. No one should stop you, you know? People say it's fake, but you know what? It's damn real. It's damn real, and it's damn real to me. I'll always be a fan, and I'll always love the damn sport.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, you have just seen the controversies of Backyard Wrestling New York, and I would like to thank each and every one of you for watching this documentary of mine. Pretty much my point of view and the point of views of those close to me, the point of view of those around me, to share our views, our opinions, generally what we feel about backyard wrestling, about, you know, just the lifestyle of backyard wrestling, about those who love it, about those who hate it, those who support it, those who don't, etc., etc. And I would like to ask you guys to tune in to future projects by Jet Central Films, which is the team that I am in charge of that hooked this video up together. And we do a lot of stuff, you know, aside from the wrestling department we have, JCWA, we also do, you know, short films, we do series, you know, we do all kinds of stuff, you know, mainly feature films. That's kind of our big thing. And speaking of feature films, we have a feature film planned later this year. And if you want info on that, as well as any films we've done in the past, or even any other films we have planned for the future, you can always stay caught up to what we're doing, caught up to what we're about by visiting these links. You know what I'm saying? Again, we got a lot of stuff, some pretty interesting stuff too, a lot of funny stuff. We got a lot of talented people, you know, working in Just Central Films. And you know, in Just Central, we pull people off of the streets. We introduce people to the world of, you know, acting, editing. We teach people how to edit and act and you know, write and just create. You know what I'm saying? We're a very creative atmosphere. We're a very cool atmosphere. Everybody gets along. It's a great team effort. You know, and for anybody that is out there that thinks they might be interested in being involved in a film team that, you know, makes entertaining videos, entertaining projects, contact me, you know, let me know. The film we're actually doing later this year is set to be probably the greatest film we've put together, and that's no exaggeration. There's a ton of effort and interest and intrigue and just all types of excitement. I'd also like to thank everyone that participated in this video, everyone that shed their opinions on backyard wrestling. You know, this wasn't necessarily a be-all, end-all backyard wrestling documentary. It's more just like a personal point of view kind of, you know, documentary, I guess you can say. And, you know, and not only do I thank everyone that participated, you know, the actual, you know, I guess you could say federations that let us come to where they are and, you know, give us insight on what they're about, why they do what they do. But I would also like to thank every one of you for watching this. You guys are awesome. Continue to support, please, because we have way bigger and better things planned for the future in Just Central Films. So, I am Joseph Torres, and thank you for watching.